Say thank you, God. Um, the life of this little life is such a humane life. Whatever horror I'm gonna go through, for them to live that fantasized reality, I'm so thankful that I got the chance to make videos and be able to say what's been happening to me. It almost made me look like a prophetic individual. And I'm using that word on purpose because it was used not too long ago. And it seems like I am a prophetic individual. But I just want to say thank you, God. These perps are trash. And I'm glad I was able to show how trashy and bottom feeders they are. I know they're just the nothings. Target individuals sees them as just the shit the government is using to do these things to us. They're humiliated by reality, and I love to put that humiliating reality in their faces. Death comes to all of us. I'd rather die in this horror life than live life like them. And I'm saying that more and more validated than ever. They love to do this conditioning tactics of trying to make you accepting of this manipulation. What they like to do at this point, right? They love to making these whipping noises every time they try to box in something. And I'm like, okay, my turn. I make the whipping noises when I'm listening to what they do to women, to children, in my shootings, what they do in regard to the issues that's ongoing with these entities. Just the fairness of it all that shows them how bottom feeders they are. It's like something that it has counter the fantasized reality they put together. It's so amazing. They try to make me feel scared that they're gonna avenge. Listen to the whipping. I was like, okay, my turn. Say Roy Moore. Whoop-ha! You can't. You're gonna say it the way it needs to be said. Bottom feeder. Listen to this testimony of this baby being tortured. Whoop-ha! That's what you're involved in, trash. You torture children. Listen to this woman who can't use the restroom because she's sexually tortured. Whoop-ha! That's what you do to women. They do these tactics of conditioning your brain that they know the second you see them, it's not gonna be good. They know at this point. They know. They know that he's seeing us as the trash, not this avenging. He knows that if anybody needs to be avenging, he's gonna come to me. He's going, he's going to harm us if he thinks in this way. Because not avenging for what he's going through, but for all these women and children they've been torturing and doing horrible things. They think that they're going to make me accepting of this rewire, and I'm so thankful that I can put that in their faces. They have to be retarded because I make videos way before they do even the same manipulation. Even before they do the manipulation of specific manipulations, I describe what they're going to do to me in advance and then do it. Not because I'm prophetic, or maybe because I'm prophetic, but it's because they've done it to something else. And I'm like, okay, that's what they do. They go into memories, manipulate my memories this way, and create new narrative, and stimulation to make me accepting of what I'm experiencing today. They have been reconstructing false memories throughout my targeting via V2K. Since August 19, 2019, my thoughts have been rewired. Thought process, and then memories slowly been changing and getting worse. Sometimes they go back to things they've changed before in my memories, come back at this point my brain is even worse and changing even more, and then use whip noises and things to try to make you accepting of this thing. They're so theatrical. And for me, I'll go back to videos I made. Oh, last year I did that. 4 years ago I said that. I have hundreds of videos specific to memory manipulation. Sometimes I forget. They do the same thing and I don't remember the title I made in regard to that specific memory manipulation because they come back and do these things. For example, what I'm going to say right now. The false memory they apply, and I've made already false memory in regard to my employer. I've basically described what they did here. But talking about in general, my employer who put me in this program is a very, very conservative organization. Today, they try to counter that by any means. I currently work for an employer who tried to make it seem like they're the one who did this. It's like I was already dying. Matter of fact, it's interesting to see how life, the universe function. I bring the date specific to what things happen to me, and I'm seeing these people, and I'm like, yo, you don't feel anything weird here, no? You want to continue to do what you do, okay? I mean, if there's some kind of divine warning of some sort, In my life, I've never seen something so clear than that. Perhaps you should be understanding that, hey, I should be relaxed a little bit about this. I should not involve myself too much about this. Perhaps this is but they don't want to acknowledge certain things. And I don't care. The truth is, do what you need to do. I feel almost guilty to bring that up, but I'm going to acknowledge it. Because this purpose participating in this facilitated evil, think that life is going to be okay, that they're going to live life and nothing's going to happen to them. And then sometimes it happens to them while I'm still there and able to see it. I didn't expect that. I thought that these horror things will happen to me, I'll die, and then whatever comes to them, comes to them. Sometimes it happened to them before, when I'm still able to see it. That's just magical. But I know who I should put these things happening to me toward. Who's responsible for my death, my sufferings. My employer put me in this program. The employer that I used to work for many years. This very influenceable organization in this country. And so today these people here who's far from where all this stuff started, are trying to make it look like, oh, they knew. That's why they did this. They knew. They investigated. These people sold. By the way, I was working for an organization that sold industrial supplies. They knew that I was going to be manipulated. Once you put in this program, that's the same things they do. That's why these people right now are making noise campaign of all sorts, the theatric of it all, to try to counter reality. But in fact, this employer of mine donated money to a man that I love to bring up, Roy Moore, that they have to say in very calm, in a very special way. They have to say it while I'm saying it. They have to say it when I'm not paying attention. It's like somehow there's some restrictions that they cannot say the name of this man who allegedly was picking up kids as young as 14 years old. The special thing about it? They're going to use their children to frame me, but they can't even say the name of this man in this openly way. They have to say it in such a restrictive way. But the whipping every time they create, it's like, you're such a clown. I'm going to run to this. They're going to create a theatric torture. I have to run to it. This trash will come and say Roy Moore are not trying to make it look like the employers who donated money to this man when he was candidate to be a governor. Saw this and they knew. Now they knew they're going to manipulate me. So what they've done is they go into my memories and manipulate my memories. When there was little girls, little children, they make me have this sexual stimulation they make me have today. That's the things they do. Today, every time I see these little babies, sexual stimulation, some kind of arousals and sensation that they say, now we mapped it to you as a kid. When you were a kid, you felt like this. And so now what they're doing is that they also manipulate my memories when I'm an adult. Not only my childhood memories, but when I'm an adult. Literally, when I'm working for these people. And so when it's like a moment where somebody shows their children or show a child, they give me sexual stimulation. It's like, you felt like that, you see? And they saw that. They knew. This clown ass. And every time they do this falsified memory, they have somebody doing some whip noise. Because I'm supposed to be like, oh, I believe it. Oh, I identify with this now. I've been making memory manipulation since 2020. And I love the fact that they just made me this prophetic being, I guess. I guess I'm just prophetic. I knew that these people are going to bring this memory and falsify it. So I said it into... No, that's what they do. They're consistently doing the same thing. And then they have these different theatrical tactics of trying to make you accepting of it. You gotta be strong and understand it's obvious what they do. So, for example, right now, the main person who put me in this program, who's involved in this, who's involved in me being put in this program, he used to work. He was a director of some sort. Actually, he was a vice president. He also was running this theater of some sort, and there was a thing for children. For little kids that came, and there was a play for kids, and there was a bunch of little excited kids excited to see these like characters. And he's like, yeah, it was so much fun to be doing this show because there's a bunch of kids super excited to see this puppets and whatever. And he's like, hey, he starts showing the picture. Look at this kid, he's so excited. Her hand was just shaking up and down. She was just like super excited. And he was showing the picture to everybody. And I was like, oh, okay. They're putting stimulation in my head. The sensation that I'm forced to have today because they have rewired my brain this way to manipulate my brain and force me to have sexual stimulation, they're applying that to the memories like they saw that mapped right in hell. to try to make me accept all of these things. They have no shame. But for me, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a good way to box it in. They try to box in the way you are forced to experience your memories today because they falsify. They send this trash to try to say something to just deflect. And they do the same thing. What I've just said here is maybe 1,000th video of me saying the same thing. I make it clear. And they tell me I'm going to be dying. I'm going to start having diarrhea. It's like whatever happened to my body because it's rotting. Because they're hitting me with the same technology they can hit children and have hit children with to torment them and harm them. I'd rather die in hell than for these losers of a human being living a life every day to rewrite memories in this fashion. Recreate them. And then come in and write. I'd rather write in hell than live in your heaven. And I'm glad I was able to provoke you by putting the reality in your face. The same, like for example, I want to bring up what they just made me experience with this child. This is what they made me experience with this baby. Let me show you. Yo. It's so sad I can't watch this thing like being manipulated. This baby. Now they're making me see the other baby over there. Having me have this reaction stimulation. Actually, right now they just calmed it down. Like they decrease the manipulation they can make me have. They can create this sexual stimulation however they want. And so now this is what I'm forced to experience because they manipulate my brain. So what they're doing now in my memories, they go into my memories and falsify my memories. We're having a reaction of that nature. And they make this whipping noise. Oh, yeah, that's what you felt. This is trash ass. They're low life trash that recreate reality and falsify memories. And you know, this employee put me in this program because they knew this thing was going to happen. They knew they're going to manipulate. They put me in this program knowing that this was going to happen. They knew that my brain would be restructured, rewired, because that's what they do. In a degrading ways. Now, the way this trash made me think is like, now he was showing that he's, because he wanted to see what you're going to experience. And I was like, listen, what I experienced is not that, but you can falsify that. Now, I don't care what was shown to them. These people do the pedophilia type of torture. They're doing these things. It's like, no, they saw that. It was a test. Do you understand? They do the pedophilia type of torture. And still want me to like, no, they were like, literally, you just want to see how you react. And they saw this reaction. They have no shame of how gimmicky they are. These people are renowned for doing the pedophilia type of torture. And the sole goal is to destroy your brain and break you down. And it's like, no, these people, they saw that. And when they saw it, this was not experience. Whatever they saw, I don't care. Because this is you guys try to create. Is it possible that people who do the pedophilia type of torture could show something else? No, I don't care about that. But what I experienced is not this. These people have no shame, this purpose. And they do the same thing all the time. It's always that. It's like, oh no. And there, at one point it was like this kid that came, and then it's like, no, they saw that and they're like examining it. These people sell boxes. They sell random things. You understand? So the people who show them something would be the people who do the pedophilia type of torture. The retardation. They have no shame for me to be accepting of these things. Of course, this is not what I experienced. You're making me experience it today, and you're making my memory experience that, like you've done it so many times. It's like, now we exposed it to trash. These people have no self-respect. They know I don't respect them. I know the reason why I say these things such ahead of time is because they've done it before on something else, and they do the same thing again. Same different manipulation. Listen, this is how crazy, and this is how prophetic I am. Oh, I don't even have the video here. You're going to see what I say in 2024. And then you're going to see the reality of what this program is about. How I call that, they are falsifying memories. In 2020, they are falsifying my memories, and they're going to try to rewire the brain. I'm not going to let this low life live the fantasy. I'll never. Target video, stay strong. listen to what I say in 2024, and I'm never gonna let them live the fantasy. They're right now just trying to they've done these things where when I see number 4, it's like, oh, we mapped it to you as a 4, pay what you did as a kid. It's trash. They try to use that. Target individual, understand that they have one goal, is to make you accepting of this particular type of torture. They have the goal to make you accepting of how they rewire your brain. You should never identify with that. I'm not a prophet. I'm just saying what they do. What they've done to me, they've done it many times. And that's why I say it today, and they're going to continue to look for something and manipulate it and make me accepting of it. Memory where you actually had that memory, but the perception changes in that memory. And sensations are added to it. It's just so weird to even try to explain something like that, because it does feel so, so abnormal. But adding sensations, feelings, perceptions of things you weren't feeling, just to also create this narrative in this persona. And this really, is to the point where you don't even want to fall for any of your memories. It's all about deception.
In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day. Human mind can be altered. In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior.
Of innocent citizens being controlled by government-sanctioned experiments? Is Cheryl Welch telling the truth, or are her claims absurd? Just another conspiracy theory that's impossible to prove? Maybe. But not if you listen to Nick Begich.
I think there's some good evidence that Cheryl Welch and many of the other people I've spoken with have been victimized by this electromagnetic mind control experiments. The weapons of this century aren't bombs and bullets and ordnance, but electromagnetic energy targeting the human being, which is a greatest revolution in military affairs since gunpowder.
Begich is an expert in government mind control. He is convinced the Pentagon has mastered a technology once thought to be science fiction, the ability to broadcast information directly into the human brain.
Our government began spending a lot of time looking at how to modify behavior of human beings. Going back to the Korean War, in fact, in a publication, Low Intensity Conflict in Modern Technology, they have a chapter on electromagnetic weapon systems, being able to not just to debilitate someone, but actually even to stimulate certain activities within the brain.
But how?
HARP is the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, which started as a joint effort of the Air Force and Navy. This is a very large array or field of antennas based in Alaska, radio frequency antennas.
HARP antennas transmit powerful radio signals into the upper atmosphere to study the effects on wireless communications. But Begich says HARP can also be used for more sinister ends.
HARP has announced several other programs and campaigns, and there's two areas that I got very concerned about. One was weather modification applications. The other was the effect on human beings. If you can modulate a signal that the brain locks onto, recognizes, and begins to mirror or follow the frequency following response. The brain rhythms change, then it creates a chemical cascade within the brain and the emotions change. Now the resolution gets finer and finer and finer. And it used to just to be about triggering emotions. You could change people's brain chemistry pretty readily, change their emotional state pretty easily. But when you get down to the idea of thoughts and being able to manipulate those, that requires a different kind of sophistication.
Can we hear sounds?
Designed to interact with the human nervous system in order to remotely pick up on someone's neural network or EEG, and not only receive that and monitor it, but manipulate it and place it back into the victim to control their emotions or control their actions or bodily functions, for that matter. The other more recent term we have for that is EEG heterodyning or EEG cloning. The difference between EEG heterodyning and EEG cloning would be, let's say, me remotely receiving your EEG and then duplicating it and putting that in another person to give them your same thoughts or feelings or physical reactions. EEG heterodyning would be receiving your EEG, manipulating it to put it back inside your head to give us a desired physical reaction or emotional reaction.
With external fields of all kinds. For radio frequency, you can look at the Radio Frequency Dosimetry Handbook, 1986, University of Utah, produced for the Air Force. It gives you the resonant frequencies for each vital organ so that you can send in a radio signal that will couple with the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, and cause them to malfunction so that you can degrade the performance of your adversary. The new weapon systems being developed today will attack the mind, the body, and our physiology on an energetic level. Not with bullets and bombs. It's a perfect Republican weapon. No offense to Republicans here, but you don't want to destroy the property. You're going to have to rebuild it afterwards. This is a weapon systems of the 21st century. It's the very beginning of it in a lot of ways, but the research goes back over 50 years.
My name is Dr. John Hall. I'm a medical doctor from Texas. As I understand the memorandum from the President, it's for you to determine if current legislation is adequate in protecting individuals and if there's any ongoing experimentation. In reviewing the common rule, it's very obvious that there's a lot of loopholes to informed consent. All of the horrific experiments you've mentioned, Willowbrook, MKUltra, radiation experiments, mostly were done without informed consent. They were funded by the DoD and intelligence agencies, where I'm not even so sure you would know if there's an IRB, much less if an IRB is looking at informed consent. As a physician, relative to some of what you're hearing today, in the community, we are seeing an alarming rate of complaints of use of electromagnetic weapons. Microwave auditory effects, silent sound spectrum, EEG cloning, which has taken the lab out of the laboratory and into the home. Most of these, from the research that we reviewed, can be done remotely. It seems to be more weapons research than medical research. I personally corresponded with upwards of 1,500 victims, all complaining of identical complaints from every state in the nation of being exposed to electromagnetic radiation, non-ionizing radiation for the use of cognitive control or behavior control. I've submitted a paper to you, and there's another paper submitted to each member from another physician in Kansas City alluding to the same thing.
You do that, you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. And they used it, I believe, in the Gulf War. You can call it a eugenics program even. But also walk them to their, they want to see if they can, hyper game theory. How do you, they want to see if they can manipulate people to do things that are irrational, but also walk them to their death. And so you can call it a eugenics program even. And they need to sample all cultures, language throughout the world to define the probability matrices of which tricks, techniques, deception works. So how do you control a brain? Most people don't believe that. Oh, you can't control me. I have my own free will.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just
It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. This disgusting, disgusting, disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know. I don't care.
This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds. And vice versa.
They use these monarch-style torture programs. Like, it's based on sex and trauma. So they're going to traumatize you, they're going to use your libido to get back at you, and
this technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal.
What is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams and form of torture. They coordinate the voice. I really mean extreme. I experienced an entire night with forced spontaneous orgasms repeatedly all through the night, one right after another, with maybe around 1 hour of sleep or so, as I lay immobilized in my bed.
In my mind, I can hear my own voice. I told them I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to me and my family. Ben said the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing, and then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ass. So just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use of people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals. When I aggravated them I able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
I also often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes.
Be my guess that this person developed delusional disorder. This is a paranoid schizophrenia. But first of all, nobody develops paranoid schizophrenia in the 50s, in their 50s. This is, you know, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's not. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist. And it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare,
it's cognitive warfare.
Exactly. It's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can,
you alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds.
Personalities.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean, this, okay, so.
So this gets into creating Manchurian candidates, split personality, and information curtains, you know, satanic ritual. Okay, so they'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's. So they'll say we're the V2K. So they'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, you know, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
It's already being used. I mean,
if you talk to the victims, the TIs, one of the worst breakdowns, and it's pretty common. I think I can say the word simulated rape and forced orgasm.
You can say anything you want. This is the internet.
Okay. And so simulated orgasms and rape is extremely common, and especially violating for women. They complain about that torture breakdown the most.
You feel that you've been in justice?
You mean as far as the Justice Department feeling me?
Well, in terms of your being a victim.
You mean what I'm feeling?
Yeah, explain a little bit to me how you perceive yourself as being.
I have actual photographs of burns on my body. When I went to my doctor, the response was, "How do I know you didn't do that to yourself?" How do you even address that? I've passed 2 psychological evaluations, not 1 but 2. The one physician said, "You're mentally sound as a bell." He said, "I don't have any idea what's going on with you." When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock of my rectum. I get electric shock up my nose. I've woken up with burns on the end of my tongue. I've had burns on the palms of both of my hands.
I vibrate. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to find what's the source of
The source are these exotic weapons. They talk about in 2976, but if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women. The next speaker.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Buckner, and I have been a targeted individual for a very long time. The things I have experienced due to being targeted, they have been unreal. But however, I can personally attest that this is very real indeed. My life has been destroyed in every possible way, and every day has been a struggle for me. I'm very grateful to be before you today due to Amy Anderson's due diligence and to everyone else involved. I thank you, council members, for giving us targeted individuals a chance to speak and to be heard. And I pray that these atrocities will soon be brought to an end. But we need your help. Thank you.
Because of the frequent severe sexual assaults on the genitals, my butt and anus, shaking, vibrating, and rocking my body back and forth, and forced eyeball movements, and phantom touch sensations doing rubbing sensations, etc.
But I was going to be shot in the face. And it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, she's going to get shot in the face. You know, sound like an angry ass old person. You know, then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Don't get shot in the face. You know, stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is with the Voice of Skull, it's a bunch of females. You know, and I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think they think it's nothing wrong with them?
Third-rate citizen and said she would give me an STD test and a drug test, but she refused me a rape kit. And so I had already been kind of traumatized with hospitals anyway, and honestly just wanted to leave. So I stayed in my room until about checkout, and then when I was downstairs waiting for my cab to come to
pinpoint one person, you know, it's everybody, it's all the time, you know, and so it discredits your character and your state of mind, which, you know, starts to make everybody believe something's wrong with you, you know, and then you start believing something's wrong with you. But it's not you, and you know that it's not you. It's just hard to prove. But don't go get, you know, mental health help. Don't see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Most of the time, they're involved too. Your police are involved, your firemen, ambulance, you know, people at hospitals, you know, they're all involved. And it's unfortunate that we live in a society that gets a kick out of doing people like that. But it is what it is. The only thing you can do is stay strong and focus on the people you love. You know, I was lucky enough to have my mother who was going through the same thing that I was going through. They started saying all kind of crazy stuff to her at her jobs, and
and I am a victim of organized stalking, electronic harassment, microwave torture, V2K abuse, and I'm asking you to help us end this crime against humanity, which has impacted men, women, children all around the world.
Hi, I'm Wan from Malaysia. My family are targeted individuals. We are victims of cyber torture. And I will not give up. I will fight to the end.
And I'm a victim of organized
We
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, and I'm speaking to you on International Targeted Individual Day. I live in the U.S., in Illinois, and I'm a victim of organized
We
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, microwave torture,
I've been targeted for 9 years.
24/7.
Please become more aware of this crime and those that the crime is being committed against. We need your support and help in ending this crime.
Hello, my name is Wendy Brown. I'm a targeted individual who is living in New Zealand, but my targeting began in California. I'm an American citizen, and the targeting continues in New Zealand. I'm making this video in remembrance of Targeted Individual Day, our third annual Targeted Individual Day. And I'm asking that every honest-hearted human being open their eyes to a crime.
My name is Jeanette. I am 56 years old and I live in
Wishes to hand down.
A house, 3-bedroom.
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
My name is Catherine Nestor and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today.
I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic. And they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions. I observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe
and have had a decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels.
Sensitive secrets, potentially making this. The Defense Department releasing brand new details into an investigation involving child pornography and dozens of its workers and contractors, some with top-level security clearance. Not only are these very serious accusations, but investigators say some of the people involved were handling the nation's most sensitive secrets, potentially making this a matter of national security. Chief Fox Report correspondent Jonathan Hunt with the news. Appalling story, Jonathan. Do we know more about these people and their security clearances?
Well, we don't know their exact job titles, John, but what we do know is that they did appear to have been working, some of them, at high levels across a range of government agencies. Take a look at this, for instance, the National Security Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, and the very secretive Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Others also work.
Two-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening in the general evil?
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind
the CIA raping children and sexually assaulting children? And they're not being prosecuted? Where are you?
Has come under investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material. Called Project Flicker, some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites, including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of its network to, quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the Personal Electronic Device, PED policy. where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security sweeps. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible. This bill attempts to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who are being recognized as the ones who are perpetrating this.
So Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is the co-author to this bill. She said this, quote, "The notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace and one we must fight head-on." Now, the fact that the Pentagon workers, be they civil or military or otherwise, already submit to a gauntlet of daily scrutiny just going in and out of work, is it fair then to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent to further allow that much more government intrusion into their, their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers?
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you step into an office, whether it's a Department of Defense office or it's the offices at RT America, wherever you go into an office, you do not have the right to simply use the technology within that office space however you want. And you certainly don't have the right to use it in a criminal manner. So essentially, this bill is trying to
is a shameful disgrace, and one we must fight head-on, Spanberger said in a statement. According to child pornography watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services, the Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of Internet service providers for trafficking child pornography. It ranked 19th of nearly 3,000 networks surveyed in 2018. Meadows said the legislation
Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't investigation. They're people, they enter these digital footprints.
Food courting.
For so many pedophiles getting through their ranks. If it were up to me, you need to go into
and go a food courting. More. More even went to the mall to get into the holiday spirit. One woman recalls that she was 14 and working as Santa's helper at the Gadsden Mall in 1977 when Moore first spoke to her and told her she would look pretty. 2 years later, when she was 16, he asked her out on dates. He hit on one of Santa's elves. Well, a true evangelical, he's putting the Christ back in Christmas.
Wow.
And I hear the sleigh bells jingling, ring, ting, tingling too. It wasn't just the mall, folks. One Alabama journalist claims that Moore was also banned from the YMCA for his inappropriate behavior as soliciting sex from young girls. And don't forget, he did that while he was assistant DA.